Greetings. Welcome to Wake the Dead. Today we are very happy to continue our Epstein series. Uh, Everybody's looking at Epstein, and we're going to be taking a different angle. We're going to be looking from a different way of looking. We, all three of us, have dissected many films in the past, and this one was actually a delight after last week's Sallow. This one was a pleasure, and it was very good. It was a great idea, and it really talks about power and the way that power is utilized, and the way that human slavery, all the things that Epstein we've been getting into with Satanism of the Epstein files, and we are joined with co-host Hans Utter from Resonant State, and our special guest William Ramsey of William Ramsey Investigates. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Sean. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great to be here. Well, we still have electricity. I was telling people, like when I was in Delhi University, the students from Nagaland, they used to go, they brought their blowguns and their bow and arrows. They'd hunt dogs and squirrels and roast them on the dorm roof. So we may be ready for that. Not dogs. I love dogs, but I'm saying like, you may have to start eating like friggin' squirrels if they keep going because everything we've talked about in this journey, we are at a pretty potentially crucial time. And so appreciate what you have, man, right now in a beautiful day. But anyways, blink twice. It's great to be back with you guys again. I think, Solo is a lot more hardcore, but I think Blink Twice also is a great expression of the whole Epstein universe. And so really ready to get in there and just will say one thing, the red hibiscus flower. So actually that flower is sacred to the goddess Kali, which actually represents feminine power. So it doesn't really have a negative connotation. It's sort of the sense of the female spirit, killing the evil guys or whatever. But just throwing it out there. So look forward to this show. I'm really excited.
Likewise. And just a spoiler alert, we are going to ruin it for you. So if you haven't seen it, turn this off and watch it. I actually found it to be watchable. I enjoyed it. Most of the stuff that comes out of Hollywood, I don't find that entertaining. But I found this, I thought the acting was good. And it's fairly recent. I think that's why it ties into Epstein, this whole notion of taking people to an island in this kind of debauchery. So really a kind of a hellfire club, I think, tied right in. And it's directed for people who don't know. So I think the first directing film by Zoe Kravitz, who is the daughter of Lenny Kravitz. So I think she's around. I think she's been in other great movies. I think Batman or something like that. Or maybe she was, I think her dad was in Hunger Games, which seems accurate, apt. But I think she's in this kind of environment of like going to galas and celebrity functions and all that stuff. I think she was a model. I think she's a good looking woman. But I think it's interesting that she probably has a lot of first person um, experience. If your dad's like a celebrity like Lenny Kravitz, she probably sees all these people. So I think she captured that kind of elite kind of celebrity zeitgeist of these tech guys. And for people who haven't seen the show, like it's the lead character is a guy by the name of Slater King, who's like a technate billionaire overlord. And he's at some celebrity function or something like that. And he invites these women to his island and things progress from there. But he has kind of an entourage. So that's kind of very also another kind of Hollywood theme is these guys who are celebrities who have their entourages and the stuff they do and the rumors of what they do. I don't think they're really rumors. I think that these guys do. They have a lot of liberties with, so to speak, with some of their admirers, and I think that that's what this is, and that's what these women who go to this island reflect is that they are kind of like the kind of people with parasocial relationships towards these elite people. But the film unravels and things happen over time, and there's a lot of times when it came to my attention through Epstein and through this stuff because of this notion of the perfume. Somebody said this perfume, which is a key function to the film, and you kind of see some of the stuff on the shelves of Epstein's stuff, like the surveillance room had perfumes. Somebody made it. I didn't see the direct connection, but clearly it's like some kind of symbolic connection between this amnesia. And I'll show in the slides that I have today. I will show that um, Epstein was interested in. There was tons of drugs around Epstein. He was knowledgeable about drugs. We've talked in earlier shows about his kind of connection to scopolamine and the trumpet flower that he grew at Zorro. And he was into mind control. Like he was more than just a kind of armchair person. Like he was really interested talking to other people in the kind of scientific world about these things, amnesia, and creating personalities from people who have trauma and things like that. So those are kind of the themes of this show, Blink Twice. And also like this notion of pictures. Like there's huge amount of pictures and Polaroid pictures in the Epstein files. They're all redacted, but he clearly kept records, like of all. He kept films and pictures and mementos of his trafficked victims. There's a lot of them. For people who haven't seen my kind of X feed, I posted one of them, one of the Zorro Ranch ones, and he's holding this girl like a bagged rabbit, which is also a theme in Blink Twice, or some kind of like game animal. Like he's holding her hair up and took a picture, and it's redacted. But on her shirt, she had something in Brazil, which tied a lot of people from Brazil who knew kind of Brazilian Portuguese. Like it was like some kids show that she had some sweatshirt, and it went like I had 6 million views, and a lot of the people were posting are people from south of the equator in South America because it resonated. And that was probably one of the traffic victims that came from Brazil. And all these girls were trafficked from all over the place, like Eastern Europe, Russia, Nordic country, just everywhere, US, Venezuela, Brazil. Like we don't even know the totality of it because our government's terrible and doesn't represent us. But it really is incredible how like these overlaps and this kind of attitude of people. I don't know what Sean's doing,
Oh,
but this attitude of these people and the mentality towards their victims, and I think it's reflected in this film twice. So I do recommend this film. Actually, I think people should check it out. It's interesting. The timing is perfect right before the Epstein files drop. So it's really something else.
Well, I think a couple things that are important to note with this film is that it really gives a sense of when you look at all the networks of the fashion shows, modeling agencies, etc. Where they recruit people, and you think, oh wow, I've hit the big time, etc. Right, and you go through this, and so that kind of shows that process. But I think I don't know if we want to do the sort of sequential plot analysis, but I mean, I think in terms of even the title, like Blink Twice, so that sort of indicates. I mean, in terms of blinking relates to continuity of consciousness, perception, blink, how you sort of, flashing it out. But blinking twice is sort of having this parallel life, right? Where you have this suspended life that you're not even aware of, right? And the other thing is that scopolamine, to what extent was Epstein doing this? And to what extent were these things like this very much similar to this happening, and even including the murders and stuff? And so this could have been a very realistic depiction. And all, we can, I guess I'll say it here, we can extrapolate it, but another thing to look at, if you look at the broader contours of our extended discussion in terms of mind control, is that the protagonist had been there before and she forgot, right? And so this is, This is this shattering of memory, and this is also something that's happened to the population at large, right? And not to get too esoteric, we talked about that, right? The time, the different timelines, and you have the pseudo time, which is like the trauma time, right? And you get all these separated or fragmented memories or different selves that can be triggered, but they're completely boxed off and separated. So that's kind of a chilling aspect, I think, of the overall film.
Yeah, somebody in the
So
comments said Lisa Bonet was the mother of this girl. So that's also interesting, tying to Angel Heart, which is really an incredible cult film. I think Sean's done a analysis of
yes,
that one.
Hans was there too. We
Okay, cool.
we were
Yeah.
both talked to Brett and Thomas of Psyop Cinema. We talked about Angel Heart. We were invited by them, but it's fantastic and very satanic. Um, but people are in the comments are talking about the colors and the this poster here and the yellow like caution and the red like her red flowers like it's like the Venus rose and the whore of Babylon, like she was in the red dress and stuff. But this the main he's using a Polaroid camera. Now this guy's a rich person who could afford his own photo lab, to really. But this Polaroid was the beginning for uh like snuff films and home pornography and because you can't send it off to get developed by someone else if it's like blackmail or sexual, CSAM or whatever. So Polaroids like revolutionized. And then the home videotape, like that's where it started was Polaroid. So it's just want to bring that up. That came to mind. But yeah, this is a great film, actually. By the way, since when we're starting here, I was having trouble. My camera was messing up, but yeah, I think it's really well done, and I think Zoe Kravitz did a really good job, and it is timely, and it also goes along with the Me Too, that whole thing, of the way the power sucks in the women, you know what I mean, and they feel like they're obligated, and they keep silent and all that. Um, but the I do wish that there was a little bit more of a puzzle. I wish not all the pieces were shown right in our face. They zoom in on like, "Oh, okay," like, but it's a neat story and it's very interesting and there's very many ways that the drug gets into the people. Like there's the skin and then there's the snake and then there's the drinking and like it's funny how many ways that they get drugs into them into the characters. It's really interesting. But yeah, this it's typical. Like it's something that if Epstein didn't happen, it'd be like, oh yeah, that's believable. That's totally believable movie. And now that Epstein is like revealing to us the truth, or the files anyway is revealing the truth. Now it's like, holy crap, look how important this movie is. So I'm very glad that we brought it today and it gives us a chance to talk about the evil of these psychopaths and what they do to these slaves, poor women.
This is one of like a thing from one of the binders from Epstein, which is like just one screenshot of many binders that are all blacked out of all the photographs that he kept and kept in namesakes. And you can go to his uh, you know, some of his rooms and the closets, and they're just full of these binders that are filled with these pics that have all been blacked out. So he kept a lot of memories with this Polaroid thing. And I think the mention of color is really important because I think that everything was color coded through the film, I think intentionally. So red, blue. Hans mentioned the pre-show blue, green, and the yellow, and the smiley face. So it is interesting that the smiley face showed up here. Actually, I was on a show earlier today. We're talking about recent smiley face stuff. So
I heard an interview with Kadaya. She's a survivor of this type of abuse by the military elite psychopaths, and uh, she said that just off the cuff, she just said, "Oh yeah, that smiley face was created by the cult to have as a trigger for people who have had the programming inside. So that's why the smiley face was everywhere on the bumper stickers and on the T-shirts, so that it was triggering and reinforcing the programming of these dissociative identity, multiple alter individuals that have been programmed with that specific symbol. So it probably relates a lot deeper to the murder cult that you've been investigating. I mean, you've been dancing around it, but I'm sure the truth is there. Like, we just got to find somebody who actually
Right.
knows exactly
Well,
how it. Yeah.
there's been a couple of people who've committed the crimes. The problem is that law enforcement doesn't ask them the right questions. They're not incentivized to get questions. But the Scarlet Blake is one perfect example of somebody who's networked, who's trans, who's been through what's that hospital in the UK?
Oh,
Uh,
Tavistock.
Tavistock. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, like, start out getting the research. Like, how was this person created? You
Right.
know, and who's he friends with, and what are they doing? Like, he's clearly involved in like cat murders and stuff like that. So,
Dude, what a
um,
total opposite of a normal person. It's just like, and they created them on purpose. It's like a golem that they just created this thing to go like create to do chaos. And
yeah, it's
still
crazy.
sick. Okay. All right. Getting back to what we're going
In
on.
terms of the blue, you'll probably get to the slide, but at one point they have these face masks right when she finally figures out something is off with this island paradise visit. And it's the same color that was in Apocalypto, an exact same face paint. So I think that was a reference. And Apocalypto, of course, shows sort of without a filter the human sacrificial, orgiastic, insane drug cult of the late Mayan Empire, which is, you could say these practices are still going, right? They're still doing this stuff.
It's interesting you bring that up because I got that vibe with the five girls running around at night in their white outfits is almost like Maenads or whatever, which were like the orgiastic women from Greece who would go around and tear people limb from them. Like they were part of some kind of weird cult back there. But I remember Crowley. The reason I know that word is Crowley included it in his poem "Hymn to Pan," and
Oh,
it kind of came to mind. Yeah,
I was just thinking of Pan's nymphs, the women that he fornicates with all the time. That makes sense.
and there's like weird statuaries in the film and art, the background. I think they like intentionally made it kind of like higher end chic art type stuff. Um, we can go through these slides. Like here's the other thing. This whole smiley faces here. I think I mentioned in these other slides, like this is how Blink Twice came to my attention is like this perfume um that's in Epstein's files. Here's like a picture of Epstein and all his binders of stuff, like kept all these binders of things. I mean, that's just one, but I don't have like but you'll see like I think on this desk there's like that perfume in the upper left hand side.
But
Of like
and you wonder. I mean, the sense of smell is very important, right? Especially for subconscious mind activation, memories, etc. In fact, the sense of smell was considered to be the means by which you can tell sort of someone's spiritual affiliation if you're more sensitive to it. Right. So, I mean, it was like, there'd be I mean, this is more esoteric going back to like Russia or whatever, but I've heard things about Trump, I bring those up, but that not the best smelling guy. But anyways, that perfume, so we have all these chemicals, right? And so, and perfume, because it's the greatest. You have Proust, the French novelist. Anyone remembers the things past? People are familiar with him or not? Anybody has waded through that extremely long series of books. But in that book, I mean, smell is one of the greatest triggers for memory, right? So in this case, but the smell is the best way to link memories. But in this case, the smell is the way that you're being forgotten. And the snake's venom is what makes you remember. I thought that was kind of a weird juxtaposition.
yeah, it's interesting.
Also, I wanted to note that the yellow is used in the same way. It's the same yellow as the Utopia, which we talked
Right.
about,
That's right.
the British TV series, where it has that like caution of impending doom and danger, and like yeah, the series started with that yellow, and then the bunny rabbit. It was like an Easter bunny, and yeah,
There she is in the red dress, right? So she's there
red
with the gift
rabbit.
bags.
Shoot, right, the rabbit too. Like that's hmm, sorry. I just blurted that out.
No, but it is in there. I mean, it's like there's symbol, right? So the rabbit isn't the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland that goes
Yes,
down. So that's like a theme, a motif of like these one pill makes you large or small. These
right,
drinks they take and makes them change their
Mm.
sensibility.
right.
Oh,
It, yeah,
and by the way, those bags, there's I counted them when I was watching it. So the center row is 555. Each of the side rows are 666. So each has 666, 555. Whatever. I don't know if that means something per
They
se.
look like monoliths standing up on their side like that. Like they're just a bunch of monoliths. But anyway, yeah. But the this is it's like the red bag symbolizes gifting the power of domination to like the photos in the Polaroids. The rich guy is given bags to all his friends so they can do this at home. And yeah, we'll get into that dude's mind and his also later, I guess.
yeah. The Polaroids are a key component, right? Because that's how she remembers and knows all this other stuff is taking place. Like she's exposed to that once she goes into the kind of main mansion. This is the kind of witch woman who's like with the snake making the sign of silence. So you'll see this through the film a couple times. It's kind of Masonic hand gesture.
It's funny that Polaroid is like an ephemeral image. Like it doesn't last very long, like a real photograph does. Like a Polaroid will fade over time, uh, but it's more concrete than these people's memory. They're relying on this ephemeral thing on paper because their mind is even worse. Like they, even more destroyed than less, like even more ephemeral than it's interesting.
Just one thing about the lighter is that what I noticed, which I thought was a bit odd, I guess, and still towards the end, like even when they're still doing their catering job or whatever, when she first supposedly first meets the tech tycoon, her friend asks, "Oh, can I borrow your lighter? Oh, just give it back. I should write my name on it." And then the same thing happens, and so they're always borrowing her lighter. No one seems to have a lighter except her friend Tess. So it's really foregrounded, right? I mean, maybe subconsciously for most of the audience, but it's definitely brought up quite a bit in the script.
The light is the spark. The light, like they're all in darkness. They don't have it, but Jess is aware. She's the one who understands first. She wakes up first, right? So she has the spark in her head, like of awareness, while the other ones like are seeking for light in the darkness. It's pretty good. I like it.
There's the perfume. So that's like Jeffrey Epstein's place. There's the lighter, smiley face, yellow, which is always associated with that smiley face too. There's like the discovery sequence. I don't know if that's Antinous over there on the right, but
Yeah, I was wondering who is that
that's what I thought.
bust of, right?
Yeah, and there is kind of like a theme of like homosexuality. It's the victims aren't all women. There seems to be like a twink like
Yeah.
dude in there mixed in.
Yeah, he's the Bob Weir of the group.
Right.
That poor guy, he gets the stuff also, so he doesn't remember either. So who knows what they did to him too? Or,
They do show him being raped at one scene, and
yeah, he was getting like he, they weren't actually doing the pushing, but yeah, he was
It's
getting grabbed
suggested.
on
It
or
was
chased at
suggested.
least. Yes, it
Yeah.
was suggested, right?
I mean, compared to Salo, this is pretty light. Like this is like like this is nothing. Anybody know what desiderenia means? I don't know if that's a reference. I don't know what that word is.
Desideria, maybe? Is it
Desideria.
an N or an R? Yeah. Don't know.
Head of David sculpture. I don't think I
Desi.
don't think that's David. I know. I mean, it's definitely not Michelangelo's David. That's for sure.
Desi.
Just some interesting files from Epstein. Like literally, he had academic files in his thing. This one is the development of cognitive control and executive functions from 4 to 13 years, evidence of manipulations of memory, inhibition, and task switching. Like this is high level stuff, but it's about
Wow.
manipulation of memory. Like he's literally researching this stuff. I got this from the files.
Let's talk more about that. Abstract.
Let me see. I can send you guys this document. I'm happy to. I should find the EFT number. Let me see. EFTA, sorry.
Prediction concerning development. Possible waking memory, inhibition, and cognitive flexibility.
It's a 42-page document, and the EFTA number is 01098878. So people can check that out. They can download it.
This is in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's pretty deep.
Manipulation of memory. Yeah. That's what's going on in this film. That's kind of what like led me to like, hey, we should watch this film because Epstein is talking about amnesia and stuff. And he had those trumpet things. Here it is.
Trumpet flowers.
Yeah, trumpet flower.
Yeah.
So I mean, just
scopolamine.
Yeah. So there's the EFTA number right there, everybody.
but so I mean, this is cognitive control and executive functions. Okay, so cognitive control, executive function is that is your your frontal cortex. If you don't have executive functioning, you could just be you basically be like a zombie, or you're not able to set goals. But cognitive control, you have no, your mind is not your own, right? If you don't have cognitive control, you're just an antenna basically. And then evidence from, just say this is evidence from manipulations. So they are talking about development, and they're taking their evidence from manipulations of memory, inhibition, and task switching. So task switching is also attention span. It's continuity of awareness, and inhibition. I don't know if they're talking about that in terms of the nervous system, the excitatory and inhibitory nervous system. See, great.
If you guys want to go through this, all you have to do is go to justice.gov and type in that EFTA number that I posted. And you can download the 42 pages right now. And people who are involved in the chat, you can do the same thing too as well. The EFTA number again is 01098878. You can download it right now.
I think I have it
If you guys want to
downloaded.
go through it. Yeah, if you want to go through it, it's fine with me. I mean, this is a big time. I mean, it's clearly kind of Elsevier is a big time publisher. I don't know. Neuropsychologia, like this is like ties right into Epstein and Blink Twice, which is almost like I guess somebody in the chat made this thing. I guess that's what you do if you're like abducted. You look at somebody and like there's hand gestures you're supposed to make if you're under duress. I guess Blink Twice is one. I don't know.
They make a hand gesture to
justice.gov/Epstein. You go there, and then the EFTA should be there. Yep, there it is. 42-page document. A lot of graphs, conclusions. The whole thing's there.
All right, I'm looking it up now. EFTA.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, by in and of itself, it's research or whatever. But the fact that it's in the Epstein files makes it like okay,
Right. But
yeah.
this isn't the only one, Hans. There's a lot of stuff in there like this. He had Loftus, right? Who is he had a whole CV of Loftus who was on Maxwell's defense, and she's part of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, higher up. She's also part of that whole kind of arc of the scientists that are involved in Krauss's thing, which is it's not Terramar, it was something else. But she's involved as like she's a board member on there. So she's affiliated with all these people who are on Rogan. Rogan is the nexus point for the Epstein network, man. It is really disturbing. Um, but she's on there, and then also Ken Lanning, who's just the biggest baloney artist from the FBI, is also included in the Epstein files. Like he has the rogues gallery of all these people who've just polluted the public culture referenced in all this information. So Lanning pops in, and what was the guy? What was the FBI agent who investigated McMartin? But he called Lanning like on par with like Crowley and Aquino was one of the most horrible people in the modern age for lying about everything. So like Lanning and Loftus, the fact that they're both in the Epstein files is for me, who studied people like Loftus, because I've done shows on the Witch Hunt narrative with Roberta Glass and Doug no, Fairbanks, and like to see them pop up again here is just mind blowing. It's incredible.
But one thing we don't have to necessarily go into this document. It is quite interesting. If we want to keep the show in time, but there's you can just drop a word, oh, mind control, da da da. But I mean, this is like functioning. There's a lot of aspects, right, to be aware of, including basic. How do you just get in your car and drive a car? How do you know who you are? How do you wake up? You know what I mean? Like and so just as I'm kind of skimming through this, they're looking at by manipulating inhibition, they get a much stronger effect on children. And in this case, inhibition is not the related nervous system; it's related to behavioral control. So inhibition means, you don't. You whatever you have some inhibition over your behavior in whatever type of situation. So, but it's pretty. I mean, this is relates to its stimulus response it's stimulus response, different types of operant conditioning, and some of these are very very of this particular experiment is very close to some of the work of Luria and Pavlov, right? With the which I've talked about probably many times on shows, is the schismogenesis, right? To develop not everyone talks about the bell ringing, right? Okay, you have just operant conditioning, stimulus response, right? So the school bells are based upon that principle. When the office, right? When the whistle goes off at the office, like Fred Flintstone. I don't know. Everybody knows who that is anymore. I can't believe I do. But that bell. But the bells and the class bells are based, because I had a psychology course where we talked about these are directly based off Pavlovian operant stimulus conditioning, and this is transferred over into certain work environments, right? So you have the bell, stimulus response, this, that. But so what they're looking at really, it's pretty deep. They're looking at neuronal level stimulus. So they're trying to go into the neural system, lateral prefrontal cortex, pre-SMA, premotor cortex, posterior and superior parietal cortex, the insula. I mean, they're talking about a lot of this stuff is going to be pre-consciousness. Okay, these are supporting systems. These are not solving math problems, right? I mean, you know what I mean? So they're trying to work on the sort of nervous system physiology through these experimentations. And so why I mentioned it was similar to that of the sort of the schismogenesis tasks of Pavlov was that this the basic protocols with of it, and we can see how this is used all the time. Okay, you can see these type of frustration responses are part of that exact same experimental technology, whether or not they're inadvertent or just due to incompetency, right? But basically, so the schismogenesis type process, you have the dog sees like a yellow, maybe he sees a smiley face, right? He gets a treat. Then smiley face, he hears a bell, he gets a treat. Then he sees an oval smiley face, he gets a treat. Then it goes back to the normal smiley face, and he doesn't get a treat. And they keep changing, slightly shifting the parameters. Eventually, the dogs become completely schizophrenic. They lose their minds. They, constantly eroding barriers, expectation, this, that. And so it is a very, very deep effect of these things. So this is one we'll have to probably go through this more, but it's quite interesting, and it's not. You can see with these types of trials they're doing, it's not they're trying to like let's make cognitive functioning better. No, let's see how we can permanently impact these levels of functioning of human beings at ages of 4 to 13. And
Like a repatterning, right? To change the response to what they desire. So all they have to do is just make the stimulus happen, and then the desired response is happens, right?
And you see this kind of thing replayed in this film Blink Twice. Are you having fun? Are you having a great time? It's almost like a hypnotic like reinforcement. Oh yeah, I'm having a great time, right? Like she repeats that, or they forget what day it is too. Like what day? Who cares? They don't care. They're in some like drug induced haze or something weird. But they repeat the phrase "forgetting is a gift." Remember, like they say that over and over. So this whole memory thing and forgetting is an important theme in this, and it foreshadows a bunch of stuff. And I thought it was funny, like when they come to the discovery, it's like call the FBI. Well, in the case of these last things, calling the FBI will get you nowhere. Like you can tell from the the Epstein files on these like intake documents, they didn't do squat. They didn't do FBI didn't do anything.
They are the enemy. I
They
mean,
are the enemy. There's no question.
yeah.
There's no question. So it just kind of ties into this document. I think it's really interesting. This isn't the only thing in the Epstein files about memory. There's this kind of conversations between Epstein and Joshua Boston. You see these people CC'd. Joy Ito, I think, is from Mash MIT, Nowak, Harvard. I don't know who some of these other names are, but like they're having this talk about like local. This is the materialist view of the world too. Like you tamper with people's brains, like the SS. They get into SSRIs too. But some of this thing is like there are many ways which we knock out denials of coping behavior. We can increase awareness, familiarity, reduce the anxiety that made the denial necessary, e.g., MDMA. At the beginning, they're taking a mix of psilocybin and MDMA, right? That's the drops.
Right.
That's
It's
what they're
called,
saying.
yeah, it's called candy flipping. That's what they call it. Candy flipping when you actually it's
Blocking and
hippie flipping
lesioning
because
the
it's mushrooms.
amygdala. They're
Hippie flipping.
blocking and lesioning the amygdala. They're tampering with the brain. That's what they're doing.
Right.
It's the same thing in this document.
And the the serotonin, like the MDMA is like a serotonin component, and it also has like oxytocin almost. So they have like this bonding, which is integral for this type of treatment, because after the torture, they have to bond with their torturer through inducing those types of giving them pills and running them a warm bath as so like it um that's that's necessary if you want to gain control of your victim. If you don't do the bonding, all that trauma just breaks them into pieces, and then they won't do what you say.
yeah, and there's I did a show just on this EMDR, which is the rapid eye movement, right? It turns out you start looking into it, what you're doing is you're getting your trauma slightly, you're going to get a little bit of relief. It's going to come back worse. You're scrambling your brain, you're deeply embedding it, and it's BF Skinner exposure therapy. You're not going to find that on the actual, you have to delve deep into it, right? And even the lady that came up with it, very sketchy history, and I was walking in the park one day and suddenly so these are always sort of suspect, but this is quite interesting because we have a lot of these types of therapies. So I think to parse this, you know what I mean, from what's written in this document. So the benefits of deception. What are the benefits of deception? And they're talking about, um, you know, defect in the restrictor. They're talking about, in a sense, it looks like they are um, gaining an advantage, maintaining a coherent self-image, coping, and forms, lying, omission, etc. Um, so there's an intentional behaviors, but then self-deception. Agent knows that the content he has taken himself is not factual, but self-deception is what they want to use deception for their subjects, and they're trying to condition this process, and this is how they are doing it to make the denial necessary. Well, maybe this is something really bad, and there's a reason there's a denial, right? Or you're getting a message from yourself that whatever, you know what I mean? But they're trying to overwrite this, right? They're trying to overwrite this process. So I think the self deception could even be looked upon as from the Marquis de Sade that, oh, it's your role to be my slave. And I have, and this is your happiness, and you are deceiving yourself if you think it's otherwise. But just to finish up here, but we can increase awareness and familiarity. So denial is a coping behavior. So I think they're trying to do something quite deep with the human brain. I don't know if we can parse it directly from this, right? But based on the context, okay, familiarity, hypnosis, LSD, psychoanalysis, reduce the anxiety, MDMA, benzodiazepines. So again, sometimes these things you're having these reactions because something is really bad that you're experiencing, right? You should get out of the situation. You should not continue to be part of it. You don't want to drug this very important mechanism out of your brain, right? If you don't have that, you walk in front of a car and get hit, right? But again, we go through, I'm talking about blocking the amygdala, blocking or lesioning the amygdala. So we're talking about brain scarring. Lesioning means you're creating brain lesions. Amygdala, fear. Okay, yes, if you have, neurotic fear or whatever, but fear is a necessary survival response. You scar the brainstem, right? They're talking about scarring the damn brain. Lesioning means scarring the brainstem. So you don't, people that don't have fear, they fall off cliffs and stuff, or they get taken to Epstein Island, or whatever. And then dissociate. So create dissociation through ketamine. Ketamine therapy. Ketamine is a dissociative. There's a billboard right by my house next to the Juba family daycare with the world's creepiest frog. I just like it because I have these fans with this like psycho frog Juba, and they have a Juba. They have all these Juba grocery stores. They have a whole empire of. Anyways, that's just right here in Columbus. So, but anyways, there's a big ketamine billboard right there, ketamine, feeling down. And this is, so anyways, and opiates reduce pain by anxiety and grief. Opiates, so you can see all this stuff being put to the society, right? And then also for people to take what is being done to them into themselves. And it's my fault. It's my fault, right? So.
This is the guy who had his own island. This is what he's researching with his old elite buddies. Like, it's incredible stuff. That's a picture of the trumpet flower. He sent something to Anne Rodriguez. I think she was she was the manager of the Zorro Hill Ranch. Asked Chris about my trumpet plants at the nursery. So he was nursing trumpet plants. He literally had a huge document on like directed energy and mind control technology. So he's reading that EFTA numbers right there. Here it is to Joey Ito. I mentioned him earlier. He's at MIT. I think they kicked him out of it, but he's literally writing to Jeff. Jeff, you told me about the technology that you tried where they erase your short-term memory. Is this work published? Which lab is it, Joy? And then the response, I think, is, yeah. Many transmagnetic stimulation is the device. Much work done on using it for trauma, amnesia, etc. IMO. So they're talking about it. 2014.
The smoking gun. This is exactly what the movie is.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you go back one slide if you don't
Sure.
mind? Let's see. Wow. So this is quite um,
It's right there.
directed.
The EFT number is EFTA 00262811. This is a long document too.
Yeah. No. This is
And
okay.
you read it from the top. It says hundreds of pages in the Epstein files describe government and mind control experiments. So you have to see Epstein as something like this guy Slater or King. Like it's more than just like sex trafficking. He was involved in all kinds of stuff. List of symptoms: anxiety, insomnia from graphic imagery of rape and abduction. These girls are abducted. They're not. They're against their will. Like they're manipulated. Isolation from family, constant stress. The whole story's
Yeah.
yeah.
I think if you don't mind, I'll just read just that paragraph because I
Yeah, go
was
ahead.
quite okay.
No, don't.
So EMF and RF government and military technology. Solinov, sophisticated radio frequency technology designers for government and military sources. Government and police targeting of an individual 15 to 50 years of age. Unusual disturbances in the home. Victim family members. Victim family pet dog. Ruby, I'm not sure. Okay, refer to timeline, refer to file 14, government EMF and RFF tech. Suspicious activity of altered states of mind has been recognized or recorded during the set of targeting and presents itself in the form of the use of highly developed classified technology to conduct human experimentation on the human mind in the form of satellite and radio frequencies being used to affect an interface with the electrical impulses of the human brain and being conducted by the government targeting the victim and her family, as includes military services, the highly sophisticated, developed, and designed technology. Um, so I can't read that. Lavishing the use of radio frequency and satellite frequency was discovered and revealed during a contact with the company. Slovanov representative name, contact, Sanka, phone number. There's a phone number there. Development of JC Innovations involving the development of software, of products and designs involving GPS tracking systems. Wow. It was also revealed through contact of a mentor of the Venture Dorm program. Okay, that sounds nice. With an employee of the Adelaide University Division Nevalate Studios involved in development of technology involving NASA and artificial intelligence, the application of recording keystrokes of mobile phones. Joseph Caesar also revealed the intellectual property theft current develops of JC Innovations, okay, etc. But this is quite deep and stuff. Of course, I've been talking about for a long time, but we see like exactly electromagnetic frequency interference with the brain, using keystrokes, using GPS on your own phone as a pinpointing device to target you with satellite and radio frequency neurological manipulation. Right there, man.
That's probably how they were playing Phil Collins in Cappy's head all the time. That's beside the point, I guess. But I mean, think of the gang stalking you could do with that kind of thing,
Who knows? I'm sure that the gang stalking is experimentation, right? Of all these
Yes,
technologies.
exactly. Right.
You know?
Yeah. They're the guinea pigs.
It's a 235-page document. Let me bring it up.
There's just so much information. I got almost 90% of part 9, the one that's incomplete. I was able to find a very good torrent download. I put it on my X Twitter, but maybe I can post it again. Here, I'll post it here for the chat people that are here.
This is like a strange document. It covers a lot of different pedo groups, so like We Know Franklin scandal or some of these other ones. But there's a big one in Australia called Kadena, and there's a lot of those docs are in the Epstein files. So like he has a whole. I can pull that up too. It's not quite pertinent to Blink twice, but just incredible. I mean, it's just, you just the horror show is off the charts, but like he seems to be reading a lot of like really noited stuff, dark stuff, and like I mean these are elements of it. Depends how much. This seems to be a document from Australia, but Solinov, like I mean, it's just right for you, Hans. This is like Russian researchers. Solinov, sophisticated radio frequency technology designers for government and military sources. Like we could just do a whole show on this one document. Targeted individuals, elites. It's like ties into that. What was that woman you had on who was talking about the guy in Australia who was a controller? What's her name?
That was Fiona Barnett.
Fiona Barnett, yeah.
She wrote Eyes Wide Open. She's a powerhouse. She's great. Yeah.
She also talks about the Alice in Wonderland programming too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, she does.
ties into this movie.
And she talked. I mean, Anthony Kidman was part of this same type of experiments that were being done on children. You know, SRA, MK Ultra, all that. She called it MK Delta. Was what she was talking about mostly.
Did she think that he killed himself?
Epstein?
No, Kidman.
Oh, no, she believes he was murdered.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was because Fiona, who was under his control, got free and started causing trouble for them. So because of her book, she believes that he's no longer alive because of what she did and what she said. Because it's his fault that all that stuff came out. Basically, he's responsible.
And there's I don't want to. I'm not bad mouthing this lady. I mean, I think she did a lot of great research. Her name's Ramona D. So she was like a literature background in Boston, and she started talking about the stuff she got electromagnetically targeted and stuff. Last few shows, I mean, she's like literally, wearing a tinfoil. She's in it, broadcasting from a tinfoil tent, and I mean, she's
Faraday cage.
She's like out of it though. I mean, I'm sure she's a nice person, but you can see her like she's just being shattered. You go into this, it just creates this. You just get in this field, and so just throwing this out there, the TI. I mean, you just I would say like depression, like don't. Try not to take that label or narrative because then you're not going to be able to discern between pre-existing conditions, things that are being stimulated and triggered, actual response patterns. But I mean, this stuff can absolutely destroy people. And and she, I mean, she's come back from the, come in from the storm. But I mean, she was, highly intelligent, a lot of great guests. And then I saw, I mean, she's just really just I mean which is I'm not blaming her, man, but I'm saying like this can really be extremely brutal. But the thing is that low level implementation, I think I mentioned that the last show, is like there can be very low level crowd based implementation of this, right? You can see where everyone's mood changes. You can these kind of things, these will influence people. You see one day people are driving real crazy. There's certain depending on the sensitivity, depending on this and that. And then if you put this in the context, you contextualize this within the context of looking at that scientific experimentation. How do we take off cognitive control, frontal cortex operation, executive functioning? You can implement these things, right? Keystrokes, so these, a lot of these things are ongoing, right? And they are, regrettably, I mean, these are the people that are doing it, man.
Yeah, they gang stalk. The FBI and some of these other groups, like government groups, have been caught doing it. Like they're government groups, and some are like farmed out too, so that the government can detach themselves. It's really unbelievable, but I've seen it when I was in DC. When I worked for Patrick Knowlton, they were gang stalking that guy, man. It's really not believable, but they literally would do it intentionally. Like they wanted him to know that he was being watched. So like they would literally get close enough to him so that they could see he could see them with the like magnifying, tele camera lens, like big lens. They wanted him to see it. They would walk by him with black briefcases and stare at him like it was a legit program. That was the guy who contradicted the FBI's position on Foster. Literally, like, was watching a video of him today, and it's hard to believe it's been for me 30 years. But I sat down with him and John Clark, and I was like, they had pictures of the gang stalking too. You can see it in their files. It's unbelievable. And me at that time when I was 25, I was like, yeah, I'm really not buying this, man. But then now it's like, oh yeah, they do that stuff. There's no question. And they drive people insane. Like I think Jean Seberg was she was an actress. I think she was a pretty successful actress. And the FBI harassed her because of her, I think she was sympathetic to African American rights, and they drove her crazy and she killed her, supposedly killed herself.
Well,
Something like that. But this is just one story of many, so they can get you.
we know the Gene Seberg thing is important.
It's documented too, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, but that's, I mean, so just another one of the tropes in the movie is sort of like, am I going crazy? I don't remember this, right? So you start questioning your own sanity. But Jean Seberg is an example of the weaponized mental health system. She was put into these institutions where they really did all these things to her. Right, like the poet Ezra Pound, whatever. There's been a long history of that,
that's
and
what they did to Kanye, right? That one handler guy,
Yeah,
Harley,
Pasternak.
whatever. Yeah,
Harley
Pasternak.
Pasternak. I was
They
just gonna.
wanted to do it to Candace too. That one guy's calling her like she should be institutionalized. So like, it's still these are all Intel associated people too. So the agenda's still there. The technique or whatever you want to call it.
Playtime with the kids isn't gonna be the same. Thanks, Harley. What kids are you talking about?
It was interesting because the thing of the red rabbit, right, was mentioned in this, the symbol, and the rabbit going down rabbit holes, and the rabbit of Alice in Wonderland, right? This place where you get small or big. But Jeffrey knew about Red Sparrow, which is also kind of like this training program. So, like,
Yeah, they made a movie.
do you know about that? I haven't
Yeah, it's
watched
a
it.
great movie, actually. It's a really good movie. Really well done. It's got God, I forget the actress, but it's really well done, and it's basically there's a rich Russian oligarch type guy puts his sister into this program, and it's almost like a like a blood in for him to get just offer up one of his family members to be used as a whore, like a espionage whore. And in her training she had to like, I mean, she had to go through a lot of mental stuff. And she owns her sexuality. She becomes powerful. There she is. Yeah, the one where Weinstein predated on her.
Right. It's
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence.
right. Yeah.
Their Charlotte Rampling was in this, so that's a tie into Angel Heart and
Oh,
Lisa Bonet. So
right.
and Epstein. So these guys, Epstein's keyed into this stuff.
Right. Yeah. And so like she basically she's used as it's like a CIA movie. She's just like feminine who uses her sexual prowess. And yeah, and it's it's basically the Russian version of the the same kind of program that we have here. It's run by the government. Basically, it's all hidden, and there's like this strict female taskmaster who's like teaching these women how to like be proper whores, and it's really, you know, Hollywood's great at that kind of stuff.
Right. I get that. Yeah. Well said. But let's see. Here's another one. Epstein is aware of SSRIs, turning off critical thinking. I mean, he's writing this. Most biological systems work on default. Inhibition stronger, taking your foot off the brake, getting more juice, adding the gas. SSRIs add gas. Does not deal with the prevention of the brake going on. It's complex. Adding more gas make love stronger by forcing a higher brake pressure.
Well, that's, I mean, and look at again, the hackable animals, right? Yuval Nova Harari or whatever, and these guys, these clowns, these satanic monkeys. They're the ones that aren't human beings. It's not us, man. And but they, so them love is just is it
It's
really
another
turning off critical
biomechanism.
thinking?
Yeah.
No, but the way they can't see love except in this lustful, you know, environment, right? And so it's I mean, I mean, they're just human beings are literally not, we're just machines to extract as much as possible, whether it's the enjoyment of the sex slavery or the fun of murdering or just watching people just be destroyed and trauma or stealing people's life potentiality through this type of conditioning. They just enjoy it, you know, and
Just like in Sallow, when that poor young girl was crying about her mother, they all got up and they were like, "Wow, look at her cry!" Yeah, they that's what they love. That's like that photograph of the Rothschilds party in the '70s, and there's a bunch of series of photographs from that party. And one of the Rothschilds is like wearing this, like, got like a bookcase for a face, or I forget what he's doing, what he's wearing. No, he's got like two or three faces on his head, and then the woman he's with, she has a deer head on top of her head, and the deer, it's got big, like, diamond looking, they're faceted jewels that are coming from the tear ducts of the deer, of the Bambi. And it's like that pain and torture is the sacred jewel that they seek. you know it's really sick.
But that's the similarity between Salo and this film. There's a lot of crying. Like they think the lead actress, who I thought was really good. I've never seen her before, but like there's crying. The trauma type stuff is real. Like it's
Yeah,
in
they do
this
a very good job.
shooting stuff.
well, you can see like OCD medication. Surprised it's not marketed as a love drug, right? In that previous page. So I mean, so they're looking in a certain way as breaking certain foundational or damaging basic foundational structures, ideally from early childhood, right? And then you create this condition and you treat the condition through medication, which, you know what I mean? It's like you've broken it. You've created these sort of fault lines or damages, right? So how could OCD medication be a love drug? Come on. But there you go. You've created these damaged individuals. Um,
Does anybody feel like reading this? It's about Bannon and Epstein's communications.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go. With Bannon and others, Epstein railed against the progress of the Me Too movement throughout 2018 and 2019. As his own problems closed in, Epstein offered advice to Bannon on how to undermine accusations brought against Brett Kavanaugh, then a Supreme Court candidate, by Christine Blasey Ford during his confirmation hearings. Yeah, that's where he like cornered her in a closet and he got her with his fingers, apparently. On the 30th of September 2018, Epstein told Bannon that Republicans should, in quotes, make sure they ask Ford about her medications, what type and for how long. My guess is that cats won't let her answer. Bannon replied, Roger. And Epstein responded with a link to a website article claiming to detail memory loss caused by various medications. Bannon asked, is this a hint? And Epstein replied, duh, and sent another link, this time to a scholarly article adding, false memories in social anxiety disorder. He continued, she couldn't recall if the lie detector was given the same day as her mother's funeral or the next day. Meds. That's that. So Epstein knows all about erasing memories. Yeah, he read those documents that we were reading in the Manchurian Candidate. series. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's really remarkable. It ties back to Esther Brooks. This guy
Right.
forced amnesia. It's incredible. But the sophistication, well, more than kind of a pedestrian sophistication Epstein had, I would say, and the fact that he's bringing this stuff up, false memories, just like I mentioned, Loftus in the FMSF or whatever, False Memory Syndrome Foundation, it's just off the charts.
Hmm.
And
And he must already like have this in his quiver. He's already thinking. So while they're doing the abuse, they're thinking it's okay. I can talk my way out of it like this or like that. They already have it in their head, like, oh, she was on drugs, officer. Like,
exactly, much like this movie, right?
right.
Like they got away. That's like one of the twists at the end for people. Well, I'm going to ruin the show, but the twist is that this isn't the first time these, or at least the lead actress was on the island, right?
Right.
That's what's revealed to her, exposed, is that this is the second time, and she literally bit off Christian Slater's finger in the year before, something like that. And that the lead character, Slater King, was like, she was special to him or had some kind of relevance. Like, we know each other, and she had no idea. But he was prepping for his kind of defense, as these are all false memories. And that ties into the whole theme of like our modern culture, where people are promoting this false memory because they're actually perps, right?
Right.
So Epstein is like the pedophile. Like if you read these emails, he's a self-admitted pedophile. He's calling himself and Woody Allen pedophiles. It's like a pedophile party. Like he knows it.
He,
I mean, these files are so important, guys, because it's like you see behind the curtain is that a lot of these guys, the reason there's false memories and so much of this fake culture and stuff like that is these people are actually pedophiles.
exactly that, though. The False Memory Foundation was created by parents whose kid was touched by them. And the kid was saying, hey, my parents are abusing me. And they're like, no, no. We'll create a foundation to prove. So that's where it started.
Well, they also ran. They had a
Daycare.
pedophilic. They had a pedophile magazine too. They ran.
Oh shit.
So they had they had some kind of like what do you call it?
Porno.
I think it was called Pedeka or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, so they were. I mean, they're super sketch, but that was really pushed hard
Right.
to to remove these from the sort of the equation.
Right.
He had all of this is still up. It still hasn't been taken down. It's EFTA 000737070. 47-page CV of Elizabeth Loftus. She's literally on there. Let's see. I think that the false memory set. I think she actually lists the FSM.
It's a false CV syndrome. I think
Right.
it looks a little much. I mean, she gave you just a little padded.
I think she might still be a professor at Irvine. Can you imagine like going to study under her and not knowing her real background? Like I think that would be super eerie. Incredible stuff, man.
She'll have you walking and listening to tapes and touching your fingertips and repeating words.
Yeah, like super dangerous. Like, whoa.
But look how many honorary degrees she has.
Nice.
I mean, why she has so many honorary degrees? She's got like 10 of them, man.
I talked to Colin Ross, who wrote the book on like the CIA doctors or whatever. I can't remember what he said about her, but he said something that like she was really sketchy. But when there's 48 results of false memories in the data sets. So you can see like this, like Loftus is describing it, false memory. So he's clearly studying all this stuff. Gail Goodman, I don't know who that is. Can create a little false memory with the evidence of a person's mom said something happened in a Photoshop picture. Loftus has a study involving a training camp in Washington State run by a psychologist experimenting with waterboarding. She set up situations where they interrogated a soldier with a bright light shining at them. People shout questions. Later suggest a different person did the interrogation. Then people have errors in a photo identification. She's
dude. So
literally
so they
confusing their perception of events.
so I mean they're doing waterboarding. Of course, people know. I mean that creates a sensation of drowning. It's one of the worst tortures. So they're waterboarding soldiers with a bright light in their face. They're putting intense trauma. Then they're changing their memories. So they're actually creating false memories. I mean that's oh my
And
god.
then going out and denying that they're real, right? This is incredible stuff, guys. I mean, how much of this stuff he had read and absorbed is incredible. But this is EFTA 00159899. So this themes of like this blink twice and memory and really important and drugging. These guys are doing it, man. And I mean,
all just to get their rocks off, just banging a couple balls around. It's just
Epstein
like,
said that you want to go back to the materialist thing. Epstein said that he had some kind of two genetic defects that caused him to be engaged in hyper fucking. Have you seen that?
No,
Yeah,
no.
let me see if I can
I
find
thought
that.
it was his psychosis.
Oh, let me see if I can find that document.
Crazy.
So like he was a materialist. That was his whole thing. Like he didn't have control or something. Hyper. See if I can spell it right. Can you see that? Yeah. Yes, I'm Jewish. 650 relatives, all Jewish. 10 different spellings of Epstein. 3, I have 2 recessive genes that cause hyperfucking.
That seems like bullshit. Too.
That's what he wrote.
Ah, you,
Yeah, and I've got a gene that makes me want to drink alcohol. Right?
you
'Cause
get you got the
my
weed
last name
smoking
is
gene,
Irish.
Sean.
Yeah, I know. It's
And resistant.
thank
Yeah.
God I got that instead of the alcohol one.
Have you? I don't know. I mean, why is this person redacted? Like this is like evidence of the cover up. They're not talking about any criminal stuff here. So why they're this is part of the cover up that they started in March 2025 when they brought out I mean, I just want to re-emphasize this. When they brought out those retard lame white binders at the White House, the cover up had commenced. So that was part, and they were redacting heavily from that point before the EFTA was even passed in, I think, November 2025. So they spent that time. And if you remember, Bondi was slow rolling it. I've got it on my desk. I've got it on my desk. It's not that important. We're trying to protect the victims. Total lie. Total provable lie on Bondi. She's in real trouble because she said so many things on the record as her role that it's going to get inverted once if we make it 3 years. They can. It depends. I mean, they know what they're doing because time and things are going to pass, and hopefully people will forget. But they're just totally involved in deception. Simply.
Well, you notice here though too, he's talking about hyperfunking in mice, and I'd like to know if it's reproducible. So he probably wants to pass this on. Remember, he's making his genetic super army. But just
Yeah, I bet
as
her a bunch of chicks with dicks too.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
but I just throw this out there, a heads up for everybody. I mean, be fully aware that we are on the closest we've ever been to an actual nuclear war ever. I
Yeah.
mean, and it could happen at any moment, and they're pushing. I mean, we are really at a crisis, and this is the same group of people that is doing it, and they are not. It looks like they're not slowing down, so it is very serious. I mean, hopefully, it'll be okay, but I mean, there's going to be repercussions, but I mean, it looks like they're just trying to bring down the whole civilization. I mean, I look at it like Trump is sort of the game theory bull in the china shop. Personalities mapped out, very corrupt, this and that. Okay, put him in this situation. He's just going to keep going. You know what I mean? I think there could be agendas even above those of Trump and Netanyahu. And that's because it doesn't serve anybody's interest, right? But I mean, they already bombed, Dimona. They bombed the Navras reactor in Iran. Iran is hitting back hard, very hard, and so Trump said, by tomorrow night they're going to destroy all of Iran's, power grid. Well, guess what? Then all Middle East countries are uninhabitable. period. They, overnight, within 2 days, you have to leave every single country. Every Gulf state will be uninhabitable because they won't have water, and then the whole gas industry will be shut down, which means the entire global, and including like medicine, right? I mean, you think about all the most medicine comes from India. I mean, we're looking at massive, like catastrophic events done by these clowns, and I really, we did last week. I never thought it would hit this point. I mean, this is like we're almost at the point of no return. I mean, we may have already crossed it, but hopefully, and just because what he has some pictures of Epstein, I mean, of Trump hanging out on Epstein Island or something.
Well, it may be even worse. I mean, there's that one thing where Trump had sex with that porn star, and he said to that porn star, "Wow, that reminded me of Ivanka." Do you remember that one?
Why?
Oh no.
Yeah, you haven't seen that one in the files? Let me pull that one up.
Of course.
And I mean, those pictures are a bit, they cross the line between over parent and daughter. Like they're a little too handsy, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find that one.
And then Ivanka is like the gift that he gives to
Kushner.
Yeah.
Kushner starts the war.
Right.
And the Kushner is very tied to the whole Epstein network. Leon Black, his dad, his brother. Have you ever seen the picture of Kushner with Black and Geffen and all those guys?
Yeah, you showed it last
Yeah.
time, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a giveaway. Like, whoa. I also
David
posted
Geffen.
something about Kushner who's like, yeah, I don't know anything about foreign policy, but Trump told my father-in-law said, how could it get any worse? Like you literally put a freaking idiot. He's a Nepo kid. He's probably his daddy paid him to get into Harvard. He's obviously not that smart. They're actually making fun of Kushner in the Epstein files. They're making fun of him for being an idiot. Epstein and Bannon. Okay.
But something put him there. I mean, if it's not his bloodline, it might be his occult hierarchy levels. Like Jimmy Savile is just some goofball on TV, but he gets to be right next to the King of England. So like we can tell that behind the curtain he is much higher on the scale than just a lowly DJ. When they're in their robes, he has like a higher place on the pedestal.
Well, Kushner, like his father, was a major financial fraudster, criminal, and personal friends with Netanyahu. So every time Netanyahu came to the United States, he stayed at Jared Kushner's house, right? But he was a major financial fraudster, pump and dump. But they're also major participants, funders of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, which is tied into Zabbatai Zevi. It is the Lurianic Kabbalism, whatever. It is tied directly into. It's sort of the happy face. It's the sort of the underground occulting of a lot of Jakob Frankism. So that's kind of, and that's where all this end of the world stuff is coming from too. That we're about to possibly experience. And
we're all Edomites.
week.
We're all the memory of Amalek. All that stuff. Some of these like rabbis, if you listen to them talk and their opinions, it's crazy. But this is the one where this is between Richard Kahn, who was just actually deposed by Congress, and in the subject it says porn star. Trump said I reminded him of Ivanka after sex. So Trump's having sex with porn star. And then he's done, and he says that reminded me of Ivanka. Like WTF? Like
imagine like
real,
how how much of a psychopath does he have to be to not only rape his daughter and then rape the porn star or whatever. I guess she said whatever, and then to think it's appropriate to tell the person that you just abused that, oh yeah, that's just like my daughter when I abused her. Like, and that what is the psychology? Why would he say that? Even if he did do it, why would he say that to her? It makes him feel better. Like he wants to hear his own voice. Like it's just crazy. Crazy.
I don't know. It's all very strange.
Yeah, they're just a different psychology, I guess. I can't wrap my mind around it.
It's incredible times, just like Tomorrow will be very interesting, guys, because that's when the gas prices will hit and the reverberations through the markets.
Oh, Monday.
20% of the liquid natural gas being taken offline is an enormous tax on the global system. That's already what's happened. So a lot of the stuff is already the gas is moving around, so it hasn't quite hit them. They've raised prices, but the actual effect it takes about 2 weeks. And so the war started 3 weeks ago. So eventually it'll just people be like, wow.
I mean, this is going to cause
It's
the death of millions of people. Period. I mean, in maybe not in the United States, but definitely in Europe. Europe is going to be starvation at a certain point, right? If this doesn't stop very soon, they're going to be out of gas. They're not going to have fertilizer. Lower classes in Europe are going to starve to death. Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, even Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, these countries, I mean, people are going to starve to death because of this. I mean, literally. I mean, this is going to potentially kill millions of people. And he's just go right ahead. I mean, I mean, it is so enraging, man. This guy is such. I'm trying not to swear, but just such a fucking buffoon, man. And he's such a absolutely moral. I mean, he's just he's an imbecile. I mean, even if you want whatever strategy you're doing, but I think is it possible he's just lost his mind, or else he's just. I think he may be completely insane now.
taking down the tower, man. It's all part of the plan. He's the
Yeah.
trumpet taking down the tower. You gotta get rid of the old to make way for the new. He's getting rid of the old.
He exhibits things that act like he's out of his mind, and I think that it's part of the influence op. Like it's almost like a cult op where you totally isolate people and then you control them because he doesn't get his information from a variety of different sources. And this is a video of that kind of confirms that. Listen to him talk here. It doesn't make any sense. You don't see a good picture of his face, but this is in front of the press gallery in front of the White House.
Have shown that MAGA is essentially unified behind you, as are Republicans when it comes to Iran. There's been reports that the United States might be sending 2,500 Marines to the Middle East. Are you concerned that a move like that could potentially change the unity?
Well, I don't know. I seem to have great support because CNN came out with a poll today that I'm at 100%. And they said they've never seen a poll like that. The CNN poll said I'm at 100%, and they've never seen that before. Which is an honor. I was impressed that CNN would do that.
What? That's scary, dude.
He thinks he's at 100% for something. He doesn't really specify it.
I'm at 100.
He may think that he's at 100% with the American public. I don't know.
That is crazy. Well, just to say now the possibility, like I've alluded to, I'm just speculating, but I mean, if geostrategically, okay, now you do have, there was an attack at Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's the Temple of Solomon, right? This is a Masonic, you rebuild the Temple of Solomon. So that's one undercurrent. The other thing, obviously, United States is basically you just did the whole thing. You do the shift in the grand strategy. China becomes the hegemon of the world. Because basically he's destroyed the United States. I mean, American empire is gone. Sorry. I mean, it may limp along for a couple more years, but not too long. Like the prime minister of Japan, he's like, oh, what? She's like, why didn't you tell us about the attacks? Oh, you guys should know about surprise attacks. How about Pearl Harbor? I mean, he literally said that and Japan is like totally fried. They get almost all their oil from there. And he said that. Oh, don't you remember Pearl Harbor? But I mean, 1 hour, 6:44 p.m. He tweeted, "We've won. They're totally gone." 1 hour later, 7:44 p.m. You have 48 hours. We're gonna wipe out all of your energy infrastructure, which means basically, I'm gonna cause the destruction of the entire energy infrastructure of most of the world. God.
Some people think he's saying that stuff because he's manipulating the markets. I'll go ahead,
Right.
Sean. I'll pull up this video.
I was going to say that I remember a time not too long ago when the price of oil went negative because there was too much of it, and I remember it was
During time,
it was
CBS.
after Trump. I think it was before Epstein, and they were actually paying to refineries to take it because they didn't want they had too much. And now, so like the people that were creating this mess, they were able to buy oil at zero. And then now it's how much? 100, almost 200 a barrel. So just think of that. You know, these people aren't doing these crazy ideas for no reason. You know, they understand. They already know what they're doing, and they're knocking out the pegs and watching it fall, but they already got their chips off the table, you know. So yeah, like
Somebody wrote in the comments, maybe they're medicating Trump with the flour. Maybe he's in Blink Twice. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's slipping him a Mickey. Nothing would surprise me these days.
it's
He's
probably in his sugared sodas and
Yeah,
his
here's your Diet Coke,
McDonald's drink or
Donnie.
McDonald's food. And
Listen to this. I think this is credible.
A.m. Eastern Time, CBS News reported that President Trump is considering boots on the ground in Iran. Then at 3:43 p.m., I don't want to do a ceasefire with Iran. And then the S&P 500 hit a brand new low for the 2026. Exactly 90 minutes later at 5:13, Trump sends out a tweet saying that he is considering winding down the war with Iran. Between 3:43 p.m. and 5:13 p.m., the S&P had already risen nearly 1% on no news. And by 6:15 p.m., the S&P rallied by 1.8% from its low, adding $900 billion in market cap in just about 90 minutes. And so, I mean, Alex,
let me break that down for you. The market's
please.
closed and people can't even react until you start to see odd size of orders going through in the aftermarket and the option market. The average person, I trade the derivatives and option market. Most people, stock exchange is closed. Can't buy Apple, can't sell Apple. Okay. You think the market is closed when New York Stock Exchange closes? It's not. The option market continues to trade through the night. And this is a $700 to $1 quadrillion market that is screwing you. And there's a lot of stuff that is going on in that market after hours that happens. Cyrus, a majority of the investment community have no idea about the option market or the future.
What he's saying there is he's manipulating Trump by his statements is manipulating the market and saying things that I think that's what you can infer, deduce from that, is that he's saying things at different times and then people can trade off it, which would make perfect sense.
Jared Kushner's already made $200 billion, man. Like just through this corruption. I mean, you have to maybe source that. Oh, by the way, someone in the comments called me, said I'm an idiot. I'm going to have to leave the show. I have low self-esteem.
There's a couple that
I have low self-esteem, motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. No, the market manipulation is there too, right? He's trying to like save the thing. But the fact is, you have a distinction between financial instruments and actual physical goods, right? And oil,
Right.
You can have these things trade, but I mean, without oil, you are, that's everything, man.
Nothing
Shipping,
moves without
everything,
oil, right? Yeah.
It's the foundation of everything: food, transportation. That means like travel is going to go up. Everything is going to go up. And there's no coming back. Like some of these things are offline. They're going to be offline, like the refineries and all that stuff. The movements and the oil tanks, and even Iran can manipulate. And it's really crazy. Like Trump's out of his mind. He's totally crazy. Right. And he went back on all of his promises. Like it's a huge rug. It's actually, nobody uses this word anymore. It's treachery. It's like treachery from like Frank Herbert book or something like that, like a total betrayal. And he was heavily involved. Like you can go through the Trump. I mean, I should do a show just on the Trump documents and information that's in the Epstein files. There was one that I posted of Epstein talking to Summers, and Summers, who was like at Harvard, or was, I think at one point he was the Treasury Secretary, just like Lutnick. But at one point he sent an email in 2018 saying to Jeff, "Are you going to Mar-a-Lago?" And that's like right in contradiction to anything Trump said. Whereas I was his friend till 2005, and then I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. That's the narrative. That's the fake story. And here's this email between Summers and Epstein. hey, are you going to go to Mar-a-Lago? And there's also another one in 2016, right when Trump was running for office, where Epstein writes to a friend, was hanging out with the Trump boys, had a lot of fun. So he's close to the Trump kids too. They just kept their mouth shut, Eric and Don Jr. So there's a lot in there that really contradicts this kind of public baloney garbage that they're talking about. Like,
No, absolutely. And so the thing is that we don't really know, right? And part of this, we just in the beginning I talked about the Pavlovian experiment, right? It's big, it's small, it's this. This also like COVID was like that, right? Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. So this creates that destabilization. I mean, I hope this isn't the case. I mean, okay, we know the three options you have. Someone wakes the hell up and they stop it. Another option is this is going for the, bringing back the Messiah, bringing back the, the Moshiach, or bringing back the Christian Zionist friggin', this is all the Antichrist, right? They're actually, this is like they create Armageddon, or this is just COVID by other means. This is just World Economic Foreign Policy, and Trump was just playing his role, and he doesn't give a damn. He has no concern for anybody except for himself and his family and his financial interests. And he may just be just doing this, and Iran may be, if that is the case, then whoever's doing, what I mean. They're just manipulating these factors and forces. Iran, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew that in 2008, man. Because I know Farsi and all this stuff, so I've studied the region, quite a bit of depth. But what I'm saying is, but again, this is the people we're dealing with. We look at the Epstein files. How else, COVID didn't work. So how else you gonna shut down the entire world and put the smart cities in and put in your algorithm? You got to get rid of about 4 or 5 billion people. Well, this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, they after World War II, they spent all their effort into globalizing the world. So like, every Barbie doll had 17 factories from 15 different cities, all making different pieces, and that's how they interwove all of American business and world business completely, and then they throw in Trump to just totally destroy America's participation in this. So the world will work together to destroy America. Then they can have their global new world order. I mean, it's like they're gonna make Trump the heel. America is gonna be put in the same basket as that. They're gonna look at what America's doing. We need to destroy America. The great Satan. They've been building it up since when the Nazis lost World War II. They're like, all right, here we go, and change around, do it this way, and now they're pulling the noose, man. It's the Kleepoth. They're pushing us down into what Hans has been talking about on my show, man. It
I think
is.
I think the Israelis' goal is to get the U.S. involved in Iran and destroy both countries, and so then they can be the dominant force in the
right
in that thing. I think
and China can have their new belt of their new Silk Road, that whole thing, and Russia will work with them, and it'll be a whole thing.
So the Masonic thing, right? So that because there was that missile strike near the Dome of the Rock, or whatever, and so the rebuilding the Temple of Solomon, man, this has been the big thing, right?
Yeah, those heifers all got rejected. They all found like a hair or a pimple on each one. Yeah, so like at least that, like those Texas heifers don't.
That's an interesting tie into Salo, where remember the girl had a missing tooth and they rejected her.
Yes,
the sacrifice. So
right.
But the third temple, they tried to make the third temple. I think it was what was the guy's name? It was Julian the Apostate or whatever. And they just tried to build the third temple and it failed. And Julian the Apostate got angry and died because, so, I mean, even the thing is like the quest for a third temple, that may be just a truly temporal human desire and not the will of Almighty God.
It's like
there's no prophetic word to rebuild the third temple. So there's nothing from God to say rebuild the temple. It's all rabbis and rabbinical stuff.
They see
It's
themselves as God.
Nimrod, and they're rebuilding the tower, is what they're doing.
All I'm saying is, like, where is it? And like, my understanding too is the Wailing Wall isn't even associated with the temple. It's like part of an old Roman fort
It's a Roman
that
fort.
they're wailing in front. So this may be even the biggest cosmic theological clown show and joke in human history. This push for this thing.
No, when you do the Wailing Wall, they're having sex with Lilith, the demoness. So when they hump back and forth, like Trump goes to the Wailing Wall, that's actually you're having sex with a whatever. I mean, literally, that's what it is. That's what the ritual is for.
Yeah, it's a ritual, right?
No, but it's a sexual ritual with some
Right.
female spirit, whether it's Lilith or a different one they call it, but that's what it is. So it's a
Lilith, right?
Look at how violent these guys are. Like, it's incredible to think that the US gave Netanyahu a safe place to grow and go to MIT, and then he goes to Israel, and then he starts an 8-front war. Like, he literally said there are 8 fronts in our war. Like, this is incredible. And they're always like some of these rabbis have this these millennia old gripes about things, like, it's not like they're still angry about the destruction of the temple from 70 AD and all this thing. So they're like, even Purim is a gripe against the Persians. So this war starts over Purim, which is about Haran or something like that. And, this whole fight against the Persians who are going to come after the Jews. So, like, they're invoking these ancestral kind of blood stuff. Like, they're not over some of this past. It's not past is present. It's really incredible. It's not Christian. Like, the Christians don't have these eternal gripes like that.
But can you see how those eternal gripes are used to program the next generation with the mind
Absolutely.
control? They all hate us. We must kill them, us and them.
They're about to get us. There's another Hitler on the thing. Are you Hitler? Are you an anti-Semite? Is it in your genes? Like, they literally, there's a significant proportion of Jews who think that it's like Epstein, where it's in your blood that you're an anti-Semite. It's not a critique of your behavior or something. You're just a natural anti-Semite and it's in your DNA. It's like, whoa. Like, that's the whole thing, is like, you're talking to people who may not have the same kind of rational faculties that you think you have. Because you're the one imposing all this stuff on me. I barely even think about it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm more worried about paying my rent, taking care of my wife and kids. Like, you're the one who brings it up all the time, like some kind of schizo person. So it's like, this is like, whoa. So, like, I wouldn't even talk to some of these people. I don't even think they're sane.
They actually,
I'm furious.
No, but they have, if you look at some of their like more esoteric stuff, and there's some books I really should have bought, right? I saw them, I didn't buy them because they're too expensive, but they're like some of these esoteric, they talk about coming from a different planet. They are not from Earth, and they have a different thing, and they talk about, and all this occult stuff, demon. I mean, this stuff is very Chabad and other things. It's still going on a lot, right? And so they literally, they think that they are from a different planet, and they're here, to take over Earth, and they collectively are a single organism that represents God. So their people themselves are God in their being, right? And so that's, or
they're
very satanic, if you ask me.
They're worse than Muslims. Muslims think they're getting 70 slaves in heaven, and some of these rabbis talk about 2,800 goyim slaves. Like, they're all going to worship us from Jerusalem. Like, that's their worldly. These are incredible people, man. People don't understand some of these guys. They will never share them with you, their ideas, because people would be aghast. But like, whoa, this is not healthy, spiritually healthy.
I mean, they do kind of have that many goyim slaves with all the, evangelical Christians that want to help them and send them money, and all the people at Hollywood and all that mind control. They got a lot of people believing.
That's actual scriptural. That's in the Talmud. So it says that.
I get that.
After the Messiah comes, you'll have 2,800 slaves, and then every other goyim will be killed. So only will be left. Everybody will have their own slaves, and that's everyone else will be killed. So only
Oh,
the
The
slaves will be
Talmud, that
alive.
was right behind Epstein, right at his desk, the Talmud. So the goyim and stuff and his attitude, and you can see it reflected in his attitude towards other human beings. He did not give a crap. They were disposable entities.
right.
And that's part of, I think, his whole network is they don't even care. One of the interesting things that happened recently is the guy before Netanyahu was a guy by the name of Naftali Bennett. And they're at war with Iran. He's like, Turkey's our biggest threat. Like, wow, you're engaged in like an existential war with another country and you're bitching about Turkey. And that shows that the antagonism and violence will never stop. And it's against the whole idea of Zion being a place of peace. Like, you cannot call these people Zionists. They're not peaceful. They have killed like tons of people in Gaza, Lebanon, and it's just off the charts. Anyway, we're at the
But
9 minute
they're
mark. I
but
want to wrap it up, guys.
but they're like Sabotage Zevi and Jay Frank. They invert everything. So, ignorance is strength and peace is war. Like that whole thing. Anyway,
That's actually like, we'll say one last thing. Like, so that the thing is, like the whole thing, redemption through sin. Okay, that's the surface meaning. There's quite complex Kabbalistic sort of energetic meaning you can look at as a way to kind of hack the universe, right? It's like a hack. Let's hack universal laws, right? So there's some there's some quite complex stuff in there, which it may not work, or else, I don't know, we'll be back like, what is it? Planet of the Apes, man, here we come. Here we come, man. And Trump, he doesn't need, he just stay there. He already is an ape. So I'm just kidding. The black helicopters are coming. But I mean, seriously, it is really funny if it wasn't so terrible. But I mean, our policy is so retarded, man. I mean, Pete Heck says, we're just going to kill them. No quarter. We'll just kill them all because we're going to win. We have lots of bombs. Yeah. We got to kill bad guys. I mean, what are you talking to, like fifth grade class, like a 5-year-olds? These are anyways, we'll leave it there. I don't mean to rant on that, but we'll see what happens. But you guys come join me in my cave, if I,
so
Right
this,
now,
I mean,
now,
it's good to, this is another glimpse at the same kind of people, just like Sallow. This is a very good pick, William. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I've heard about it, but whatever. I don't think any movie's going to be good. That it's very rare. And so this one was delightful. It had a cathartic ending. It was a little, it wasn't, I mean, it was boss bitch ending, right? But I guess I don't know. It seems like she still had to use the puppet of the white male so that she could have her power, like. But then you think about how many puppet white males are there in politics, and like and who is the puppet master? It's Epstein. Ultimately, in the reality, the puppet master is the Epstein the people, not some boss bitch black woman who hijacks one guy's brain. It was very good, very cathartic at the end, though. It was great. So it's a lot better than Sallow. I'll tell the listeners and viewers they should watch it. I think it's a good time.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sean from Wicked Ed. I'm Hans from The Resonant State, the most popular podcast entitled The Resonant State. And this is William Ramsey, the very prolific and author, publisher, broadcaster, truth warrior. So it's been a great pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. We had 400 live listeners. So thanks, everybody, for participating. Sorry if we didn't get your comments, but go check out Wake the Dead and The Resonant State. They have other guests than me. They have a lot of different stuff. Angel Heart, I have to listen to. Really interested in that.
That was a good one. We did some good research on that one.
Yeah, and Fiona Barnett was on Sean. I think he did 4 hours with her.
Yeah.
And then there was one I saw. I listened to half of it with Hans and Steve DeLay, right? I think DeLay. What I forgot his first name.
On my show, yeah.
Stephen DeLay.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's around, but yeah,
He
so
was
go
on your
check that
show,
out,
too.
guys. Yeah, he's been on my show a couple times. I think.
Right. And my
All right,
show.
guys. Hopefully everybody will be here next week. Hopefully we won't all get blown up in a thermonuclear war, but you know, go and watch the film War Games. It's probably good. It's not relevant to the arc of our shows, but
Maybe we'll all get
nobody wins.
We're all mutations off like 3 heads, you know, from all the radiation.
My background will be like a cave, like Fonzie or something.
Oh yeah, make a
People
cave
forest.
background.
Yeah.
We'll have to ride exercise bicycles to power the.
Yeah.
Oh, like Black Mirror, right? Yeah.
So after, all right, guys, all the best.
All right,
Thank you.
anyway,
Take it easy.
thank you guys.